Hey basses, what's up? So here's the little tutorial video. Hopefully this will be shorter than the last two times that I recorded this. Um, I'll hopefully get a little bit more straight to the point. So let's start with how to hold the mallet, or how we are all going to hold the mallet at Pioneer. So most important part is the fulcrum, as far as solidarity and getting a good grip on the mallet. That all comes with the fulcrum, right here. Is you want a good solid grip between your thumb and your index finger. These three fingers are equally as important, but they do not squeeze. That is the biggest thing. Is if you hold too tight, you're going to choke off the sound, and you're going to get fatigue in your hand, and you're going to get tired, and you're not going to be able to play, and then you're going to have to run. And then you come back and you're going to be more tired. So do not squeeze. Cradle the bottom of the mallet with your bottom three fingers, so that you get just a nice. I should be able to, if you're just holding it, I shouldn't be able to just like snatch it out of your hand. There should be a little bit of with the thing, but essentially I should be able to come and take it out of your hand, no problem. Especially if you let go of the fulcrum, then just gone. So that's something I probably didn't talk about at camp at all, but that's something to remember, because if you're playing nice, fast passages like this, my fingers are nice and loose on the melon. But if I try to play the same thing, with my fingers all tight, it sounds all choked and bleh. So. And we have tonal drums, and they should sing and play nicely. So that is the first and most important thing, is just holding the mallet. So like I said, details matter. So nice firm fulcrum, nice easy grip with the mallets. Should be nothing showing with the butt. And that should be right about here on the meaty part of your hand. Which then leads us to the next part, which is forearm level. That's probably the most important visual thing of how you approach the drum, is make sure these forearms are level. Because if you go up to a bass line and you see them, and you got somebody who's up like this, and you got somebody down like that, and it looks all wonky and weird. But if everyone's got nice level forearms, they're like, okay, these guys are serious. Let's watch them. And then from there, then the next question is like, do we do a 45-degree angle? Do we do a 90-degree angle? Angle is not as important as your wrist. It should be a natural wrist angle. Just if you just stick your hand, just put your hand to your side, and then just bring your forearm up to level. Wherever your hand's at, that's your nice natural angle. You put your mallet in, bam, you're there. Simple as that. It's that simple. But it's understanding all these little things and how they work together that separates a good bass line from a great bass line. So, you're nice and level. Get that natural angle. It's usually roughly 45 degrees-ish, but people are different. Not everyone has the same size hands, and not everyone has the same exact mechanics of how their wrists work. Some are more flexible, some are not. So whatever's most natural for you. So get that. You wouldn't even need a drum, and you can just find that, and you're all set to go. So then when you bring the drum in, and when we get our new drums, we will fit you guys and get everything all set and adjusted just right. So I want you guys to be comfortable with this. I want you guys to take time, look in a mirror. Don't just look at yourself like that, because you can't see what this looks like from that angle. So look in a mirror, use a laptop, whatever you have to do to get comfortable with this angle. And then just to be able to walk up anywhere and just be like, oh, playing position. Okay, there we go. Bam. And then, from there, depending on your drum size, we can adjust back, forward, if you're a bigger drum, backward if you're a smaller drum. Whatever is going to get the bead of your mallet in the middle of the head. And then from there, we'll adjust the drum up and down to get you dead center bullseye. So get to know that, get to know how it feels, get it to be second nature, so that when we are adjusting drums, it's natural. And also when you're standing straight, because I know there's a picture of me from my rookie year, or my rookie year marching bass. That I was in this my opening set position. I was middle of the field, feeling great. They got this great picture of me slightly from behind, but in it, you can see it from the angle. I was like this. You know, I was sticking my hips out, I had my back arched back. That's a natural tendency that, you know, I think I mentioned it in my big email. I was like, stand in front of a mirror, feel what it feels like to stand up straight without leaning back. You know, your shoulders should be over your hips, and should be over your heels. Just, and then feel what that feels like to hold your mallet. You know, it should almost feel like you're leaning forward a little bit. You know, almost like you're tired and you just want to kind of lay in your drum. So that thought of, oh, I want to lay on my drum, oh, stop right there. That's where you want to be. So that leads me to the next thing, which is probably the most important distinction that I want to make sure that everyone understands, is the difference between wrist rotation and wrist break. And which one are we using? We are using wrist break. That is the technique we're using. For those of you who know what it is, cool. For those that don't, here's what it is. It comes down to a simple thing. It's the difference between if you're walking up to a door that's locked and a door that's unlocked. If it's a door that's unlocked, what do? You can just grab the handle, turn it, and go right in. That is wrist rotation. That is a valid technique, and many lines use it. We're not one of them. And this is why, not just because I said so. I feel that there's too much work going on, because when you do this motion, the two bones in your forearm are rotating. That's why it's wrist rotation. You know, they're twisting around that central point in your arm, and that's a lot of motion to me. You know, I'm not saying wrist rotation is wrong. This is just why I prefer the other way. You know, that's a lot of extraneous motion for the style that I like to play with. So that's turning a doorknob. That's the exact same kind of motion. Now, the motion that we're going for, and this is awesome, the fact that there's a drum solo playing in the background. Thank you. It's my favorite band, Hailstorm. Look them up. Anyway, wrist break is what you do if you walk up to a door that's locked. What do? You knock on the door. That's the motion of wrist break. Is just that same kind of, you know, if you put your hand up to a surface and just act like you're knocking on a door with a mallet in your hand. Oh, we got wrist break. Oh my goodness, there it is. And there's a lot less motion in the arm, the rest of the forearm, when you're doing this motion versus this. So this is practice knocking on doors. Ask them for money so you can march better. Shameless. But so that's the idea, is we want that wrist break. So then that leads to the next thing, which is the path of the mallet head itself, which is a very important thing, because we want a nice, even, equal pathway. You know, we want it to be, you know, comes from here to here, A to B, A to B, A to B. You know, we don't want A to C to B to D to E. You know, we don't want that kind of motion. Because as I said, you know, it's a very similar technique to playing concert horizontal matched grip. Is, you know, the stick, if you're playing like that, just comes straight up and down, just like that. Same idea, just straight back. It's not a direct straight line, you know. We're not getting into geometry here, but same idea is you want that mallet path to be equal and the same every time. Pardon me. So go ahead and do that. And then next, everybody's favorite, velocity. So we want the mallet to go from the prep position to the head as fast as possible, which is where the stroke initiates. The stroke initiates, think of it from the mallet head, not from your wrist, so we don't get this, we don't want this kind of motion, we don't want flappy elbows. There will be elbow movements, but we don't want that kind of thing, just from the side a little bit. We don't want that, we just want that. Bam, bam, bam. And it's just natural elbow motion, not, we're not doing molar or any of that. Molar's cool for, for drum set and stuff like that, but not for what we're doing here. So, initiate from the mallet head as fast as possible from point A to point B. Again, A to B, A to B, just as fast as possible. We want to have that kind of velocity. It's the same as if you take a ball, basketball, tennis ball, whatever kind of bouncy ball you want, and you're bouncing it on the ground. And, you want to push it down with enough force, getting into physics here, enough force that the ball comes up back to your hand. You don't want to, if you just drop it, it's not going to have enough force to come back up your hand. You're going to have to reach down to get it. But if you bounce it with enough force, enough velocity, and the other thing is you want to make sure that you're not squeezing that downstroke. You don't want to. You're not punishing the drum. You want there to be a little bit of. It's a little hard to see with just my laptop camera and from this angle, but you want there to be a little bit of looseness at the end of the stroke, which is where the whole keeping these fingers loose comes into play. You don't want it. You want it to have that natural. You can kind of see it. There should be a little bit of boom, a bit of a at the end of every stroke, so that you're not squeezing off the sound of the mallet, because the mallets make sound too. They vibrate too, not just the heads, not just the shells. The mallets make sound too, and we want them to sing as well. So don't squeeze off the downstroke. Still want that velocity, and you will get that natural rebound from the head. I'll show that little part to you guys in person a little bit more, but just keep that in mind that you don't want to squeeze off the bottom of the stroke. So I think that should be it as far as how to hold the mallet, how to look, the basic idea of playing. We can get more into different techniques for larger hits, like when to break, when to stop the wrist from breaking and bring some arm in. That'll come with different heights and different kind of textural situations for the core. Do we want something that's like this, or do we want something that's like this? That'll come as we go. But that should get you guys from now until camp, which is 2.5 weeks. So get practicing. There are other bass drum technique tutorials online. I've watched a couple of them just to get my head wrapped around some of these techniques. But if you want to go watch some of the ones, especially on wrist break, because they talk a little bit more in depth about how that works. But I think I got all the good chunky bits covered. Chunky bits. I want some cookies now. So yeah, that should be good for you guys. And yeah, I think we're going to leave it at that. I'm going to take another little sip here. My tasty beverage. And I think I'm going to call it a night because it's getting late and I want to get this out to you guys. So keep practicing. Don't forget to play Hugadex. If you have any other questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Oh my God, I'm doing the Clinton. You guys are too young to know that.